Can we zoom in on Argus? You see that fish-like thing? Zoom, zoom, zoom. Fishy.
There's one. What is it, Suna?
It's a fishy.
Ah, Roger.
That's the scientific name.
Roger.
Fishus.
Oh, it's so cute. That's not the eel-like fish that you mentioned
I
earlier?
don't think so. It's hard to tell.
For those of you just popping on, we are on day 3 in the search for the Samoan Clipper, about 12 miles off the coast of American Samoa. And we finished up the initial survey area and have just started on an additional survey area to the west. The research team decided that it was in the best interest to continue mapping and conducting the side scan sonar survey to try and find the Samoan Clipper. So we have 8 lines to the west and another 8 lines to the south that we will keep surveying. And that area was based on an analysis of some historical information that the team has, including directions of where debris and a known oil slick sort of drifted and went at the time. Can we zoom out on HPAC and see the total scan area? Pretty please.
Or?
I think that's good. What, so is this is showing the additional area that we've since added?
That's correct.
Cool. And then the purple line is
Argus.
Argus.
Mm-hmm.
And then each of those black points is, most of them at least, are those potential targets that we've since marked.
Yes, anyone that is just a raw time
Mhm.
are navigational aids for us, but anything with a name or the Argus dive number is our potential targets.
And we're at 48, or excuse me, 58 altogether. So our previous lines that we had, we estimated they each took about 2 hours or so, give or take, based on turning time. Do we have an idea of how long each of these lines may take?
It's looking like between 2.5 and 3 hours from where we currently are.
So a little bit longer. And Russ, when we're, you know, based on this information that you spoke about not too long ago that helped to determine which area to expand the survey to, you know, is that also incorporating ocean current models from the time, or is it mostly based on sort of that historical information that you mentioned?
It's really just based on the historical information. I mean, there is no. The only current information we have from that time was that in the one of the radiograms they say that the currents are unknown and uncertain. So really all we have to go on is just the empirical observation of where the items from Samoan Clipper ended up, and it's clear from the Avocet log that even though they didn't record their position, not even a noon site, they did keep track of all of their course headings and the times and so forth, so that when they record that they cease search operations, they set a course to the south-southwest and steam for about 4 hours before they reach Tapu Tapu Point. So we know they ended up to the northeast because they had to go southwest to get home. So we figure that they were following this oil and debris trail headed northeast. And then there's another message that says they believe the debris will drift in the direction of Swains Island, which is directly north of here. So they felt it was headed north and east, though we did find reference to the doors, the aluminum doors from the icebox in the airplane's galley were discovered on a beach at Ofu Beach in an island group directly to the east. The message is dated January 22nd, 1938. Don't know exactly what day the items washed up and when they were found, but so anywhere about a week later. So it just means that it was drifting east at barely 1 mile an hour. So not a very strong current, but it seems that it was headed in an easterly direction. So that's why we think that if that east-west, if that longitude value is just more of a rough estimate, that if it's in error at all, it's in error to it's east of where the the actual origin point was. So we're concentrating our our efforts to the west, attempt to track it back to where it came from.
And if, you know, parts of the Simone Clipper had washed up on shore, I mean, is there potential that maybe other bits of debris would have also, you know?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, there's no, at least we've not found any record of it, not found any record of debris being discovered on the say on the north coast of Tutuila, of the island right here. And they were looking. They definitely said they were going to keep an eye out. So if there's no record of that, you know, it seems pretty, you know, reasonable to think that nothing ended up drifting south. Nothing came ashore on the island here. So, and the only stuff that we know that did wash up anywhere, washed up due east. So, in absence of any other evidence, you know, we figure that we'll follow that. We'll follow that lead and go to the west.
And so what we're looking at here, for those of you on the home page, if you pull up the quad on the top left quadrant, you can see the side scan sonar survey. So the top sort of level there is a higher frequency, and the bottom level is a lower frequency. And then that sonar reaches, I believe it's 100 meters on either side, right, Dee Dee?
100 meters for the top and 150 for the bottom.
Gotcha. And then that sort of black strip down the middle is a blind area that we have, but luckily Argus is making his way down, so we're getting a visual. So that's what you're seeing on that right hand, that top right hand video feed. So you're looking at the bottom of the ocean, exactly where that black line is on the top left side. And then in the bottom left quadrant is our HPAC, so that's our charting software. And the purple line is where Argus is going. You can see the new lines that we are making our way to. So we just finished up the original survey area. It was about 2 square miles and 21 lines. We've since added 8 more lines in the western direction and another 8 to the south. And that's what Russ was just describing, sort of the process into how the research team made the decision to go in that direction. So then if you're looking on the left-hand screen, you can see that image in the bottom, and then additionally the image on top, and sort of how it gives us a different visual of the same thing. So that's the benefit in operating these 2 different frequencies. Dee Dee, have you had a chance to look at any of the points that were marked since our last watch?
I believe so. I think there was not too many. We were just looking a few minutes ago. Ooh. Where did the folder go? I have to track the folder down.
Okay.
I'll look that up in a second. But yeah, I did. The sort of last 2 lines or so was really, really devoid of a lot of geology, which is good. So there was 1 or 2, I think, picked out at that point as a possibility. So we're still on the hunt, though. Nothing that screams halt and you know, wake everyone up. So we're just still continuing along our line.
And I know a lot of people, and you know, I'm in that group, would love to go and check out some of those you know, targets that we marked in the other search area. But you know, just weighing the time we have available and you know, the fact that you know, we looked at those, most of those targets have been processed and just, you know, appear to be, you know, more common, you know, to the geology that we're observing, the topography that we're seeing on the bottom. and nothing that's unusual enough. And we just really feel that if there's something down there that is aircraft wreckage is going to call attention to itself. It's going to be screaming airplane rather than teasing us. And you know, we want to continue focusing on these new, you know, on new ground. You know, with the potential that the discovery we're hoping for is waiting for us just in this new area. So I mean, we would stay here as long as it takes, but there are other demands, you know, on the ship's time. There's other expeditions that are lined up, ready to go and ready to you know, explore areas of their own. And you know, there's a fixed budget that we have as well for this, and you know, certain tools that we have available to us, and we're going to use them all to the best of our ability, and we won't give up until the very last.
Absolutely, and we talked a little bit about it earlier too, just in, you know, the first few watches even, the crew was really sort of getting oriented with what the bottom of the seafloor here looks like, and you know, how these geological features that maybe at the beginning looked really promising and exciting then begins to look like every other feature it's seen. And so we can sort of have a baseline of what the geological features are.
Yeah, that's really true. You know, we're getting, exactly as you say, getting familiar with what is normal for this stretch of ocean, and what we're looking for should stand out, should be something very unusual. You know, the strength, the return should be way different. You know, we should have a lot of these straight angles and a lot of relief and shadow and a lot more detail than we're seeing. You know, in these other features. So, you know, we really feel that airplane is going to let us know, you know, when we see it.
And a lot of people have asked, and this question keeps coming up, you know, how there are so many factors in the day of the event, but also, you know, in what happened afterwards, such as sinking patterns and currents and, you know, these environmental impacts. And so how can we be sure that the plane, you know, is in this area that we think that it, I mean, obviously we're not, we have a best guess, but, I mean, is it, you know, how have we determined this area, and how can we, you know, be confident that this is worthwhile looking here?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of information. In terms of lost aircraft, lost historic aircraft, I cannot think of another one where there is such a wealth of good information.
Mm-hmm.
The information we have was established, you know, within hours of the plane going down, and from several different perspectives. You know, we have the eyewitness account of the accident itself. We have Lieutenant Williamson's report from just a few hours after the plane went down. We have the actions of the Avocet and the Navy search ship and what they found just the next day. So you know, and things like things like Lieutenant Williamson's report on the fact that the oil slick appeared to be coming from the ocean floor. It really kind of fixes it in this spot. You know, if the airplane has, you know, would have sunk to the bottom relatively quickly after the accident, and would remain there. So, you know, what they're seeing is the immediate aftermath of that event. And they're recording it at the time, and there's a lot of reason to think that the observations that they're making, they have the means to make them accurately. I mean, the fact that this site is within view of land, so you can make estimates relative to a landmass that is not going anywhere and is totally recognizable. We can pick out detail of the island easily, from where we are right now. So there's a lot of very good reason to think that this is the spot. We absolutely are close, but we're also, there's still some unknowns as well, and so all we can do is just very carefully, methodically work our way through the area and work out from the best estimates at the time, and then try to factor in the unknowns that affected it, and we're not very far, geographic terms, from where that estimate was. I mean, so and there's a lot of, as you say, there's a lot of things that could act, on this, especially like judging from that oil slick. I think mainly it's what's happening in the water column as it's released from the wreck and starts its journey up to the surface, which is more than 3,000 meters away, more than 10,000 feet above, and nearly 2 miles. So if there's any kind of natural forces, any kind of current acting on it, it could shift. Because the estimates that they're making are based on what they're observing at the surface. So yes, we're not entirely certain what was happening beneath there, but the best evidence we have is what became of the the debris and the evidence that was found later. So since that was moving east and northeast, that we figure that's the best way we have to try and track it back. So I really do think, given all of that evidence, that this is the area. It happened somewhere very near to here, and we hopefully there's still enough time remaining for us to continue. And that we're on the right track, and we'll eventually arrive on the right location.
And given what we know about the about the Samoan Clipper, what about it caused it to sink straight down? Is it its structure? Is it the way that it was built?
I think it's more. Actually, I think it's more to do with the way it was destroyed. That having suffered a fire and an explosion, its characteristics as an airplane are completely compromised. And as I think it was Ed was pointing out in one of the previous watches, that an airplane generates lift by creating by airflow over the wings, creating an area of low pressure as the air flows over the upper surface of the wing faster than the lower surface, and you need thrust, and you need airflow, and just falling through the water column, the disarticulated wreckage, like falling through the water column, isn't going to generate those kind of forces. So, and the wing, especially, if it's detached, it has those 4 engines still attached to the leading edge of the wing, presumably, each one of them weighing a ½ ton. So with 2 tons pulling on just on the one leading edge, it would pull it straight down, and then you actually have the kind of the knife edged. Or the narrow edge of the wing leading the way, kind of knifing down through the water rather than gliding. So I think that would tend to go just straight to the bottom from wherever it disappeared.
And that large aluminum 118-foot wing and with the 4 engines attached, in theory, that's really sort of our biggest potential target, right?
Yes.
That's what we're looking
Yes.
for. Hey, Sam.
Hello, 8 to 12.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Happy to be here, sitting in for Steve and Ed a little bit so they can get some breaks. I hear that we are side scan mapping.
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Ship rumor. They travel fast.
Small quarters.
Yeah.
Yep, here we are.
What regions of the world are tuning in at this hour?
Yeah, we have a lot of bright lights on the map right now. Just joined, since I last mentioned it, Italy and Israel. We also have Barbados, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Turkey, Australia, the UK, New Zealand, Germany, Netherlands, and the US. So,
Wow.
yeah, all over the place.
Lots for this time zone.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, I
Okay.
know. It's pretty exciting. Thanks for joining us. We had one listener who said that they had bought a waterproof Bluetooth speaker so that they could bring it in the shower. They're not missing a moment
Wow.
of the search. I know. It's really impressive.
That is dedicated
Yeah.
citizen science.
Yeah.
I think that's a new one. I don't even think we have that capability on the ship.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself. I'm serious. I bring my speaker into the shower.
So you can
Do you
listen
really?
to Nautilus Live?
I wish we're not allowed to stream Nautilus Live here.
Nice.
We make Nautilus Live
Yes.
here.
I think Ed could get you hooked up to the video system so it'd broadcast over the ship's network and you could listen, not miss a second in the shower. We could put a headset in the shower so we could talk to you.
Everybody, the world would enjoy that.
Yeah.
I heard we logged a couple of targets this watch.
Not this watch. No,
Oh, not this watch. Okay. Recently.
Nope.
I think was the.
it was probably the last watch.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at 58 total.
58 total over how many hours?
So just after midnight last night, I think it was 46. So someone math.
Are you talking complete total survey hours at this point?
Yes.
Ooh, that'd be like a data logger question.
Ooh, data logger.
Sorry, what?
Any idea to calculate the total survey hours? This might take a little bit, but we'll get back to you. Hopefully.
I'll let you know at the end of the watch
Okay.
when I'm done with my calculations.
We do have an Instagram account, actually. It is at EV Nautilus. And Twitter at Nautilus Live, right? Did I get those handles correct? EV Nautilus, yep. And those are all on the homepage, I believe. So you can, right, Sam? Are they all those handles are on the homepage?
Sorry, I had to step away for a second.
Oh.
Getting called by the bridge. All of the social media handles, yes, are on the Nautilus Live website.
Cool.
Nautilus at Nautilus Live for Facebook and Instagram, and at EV Nautilus for Twitter and YouTube. And hashtag Nautilus Live on all the platforms. And if you're active on Twitter, there's been some really interesting tweets coming out from both the Pan Am Historical Foundation and other folks involved with with this expedition, including Air Sea Heritage Foundation on board, as well as Search Inc. And then there have been a lot of people actually chiming in with sort of stories that, personal stories and historical imagery that have come from various archives. So it's been pretty active conversation on Twitter, which has been great to see people writing in.
Yeah, and we have our own story here that we discovered too, with Rebecca.
We did.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You might have to go to Twitter to find out what happened.
Find the answer to that mystery on Twitter.
We'll add it
Yep.
to our Jeopardy question list.
Yep.
So, oh, go ahead.
Actually, have you heard the latest message that we received from a viewer on Twitter and Facebook that we forwarded on to Russ, and he's since reached out to...
I don't think so.
Oh, this is a good
Ooh.
story.
Russ? What?
Yeah, we had a guy, Mike Field in New Zealand, who has been listening in and passed along a story about someone that he helps care for, who, as a young teenage girl, was with her family, and I won't even attempt to pronounce the name of the town, but in New Zealand, and one morning they heard a tremendous noise and went outside and found this huge airplane had landed in the bay, and she and her brother rode out and greeted these Americans who had just said they'd come from California, by way of Pongo Pongo, and it was Ed Music and the crew of Samoan Clipper, and it was on. They were curious as to when that might have been, because of course Music and Samoan Clipper had visited New Zealand twice, once in March of 1937 and again in December of the same year. And the really fascinating thing is that there were 2 pictures that were taken that day, and it was astonishing because it's not. No one's ever really seen this in the historical record. They didn't say that that Samoan Clipper had actually landed short of Auckland to wait out some bad weather before they continued on. But the photographs don't lie. I mean,
Wow.
the registration number is clear on the tail right there, NC16734. And the really astonishing photo is one that's taken from the port side forward, and the pilot's hatch is open, and there's a uniformed man standing in the opening, and you can see forward on the bow, on the nose of the plane, the name Samoan Clipper. So it absolutely happened. She has the photographic evidence of it, and what's remarkable to me is seeing that photo, because there are so very few pictures of the airplane that you can read that name.
Right.
And certainly none of those that show Captain Music with his last command, where you know for a fact that he's standing with the airplane that he flew. And I felt like, looking at the photo, it looks like him. And in one of the responses they sent, he said that she felt that was the captain because the crew came ashore, but she said the captain insisted that he remain with the plane. And that is so like what we've come to know Music's character to be, that so meticulous and so dutiful that he would insist on remaining with the plane while it was anchored in a strange, unfamiliar bay, that he wouldn't leave it unattended, and it just looks like that, just the way he's standing, and it feels like that really is him. So it was this amazing glimpse into a little known piece of history, a kind of a little lost piece that still survives in the memory of the person who experienced it, and she had the photographic record. So he's very kindly offered he's going to try and get us a really high quality version of those photographs, so that we can share that story with everyone. And one thing I was able to help clear up is that they were wondering, which day was this? Was it in March when they made the first survey flight, or was it in December when they made the first mail run? And what and he had done a lot of research, you know, and he knew like that's the right registration number and that's the name of the plane and this seems right. But he had actually looked up that in the accounts of the Clipper's arrival in March, that everything refers to just this beautiful sunny day, but that in December there was a storm, and that when the plane eventually did land there, that they had to tow it to a more sheltered area of the harbor. And but I pointed out to him that actually all the evidence that he needs as to what date it was is right there in the photograph, because you can read the name Samoan Clipper on the side of the plane. And when it first left the factory in Connecticut, the Sikorsky factory, it carried the name Pan American 2, and that's the name that it flew to New Zealand under for the first time in April of 1937, and then later on it was assigned to Manila, and it would make the shuttle run from there to the Chinese mainland, going to Macau and on to Hong Kong. And in fact, they renamed it at that time Hong Kong Clipper. But then when they were deciding to inaugurate the run to Auckland, and that they wanted to claim, you know, in order to claim the contract to carry the mail, they had to initiate mail service by the end of the year, by the end of 1937. So in December, they brought that plane back, refitted it for the long-range survey work, and gave it a new name appropriate to the region where it was going to be operating. So it wasn't until December of 1937 that it became known as Samoan Clipper. So now we know. Now we know when that photo was taken, or you know. So, but it was really neat to see it, and that came to our attention just through this process of you know, sharing this story with the viewers around the world, and it, you know, fell on the eyes of someone in New Zealand who took the time and care to share that story with us and make sure that it gets passed on.
That is such a cool story. And that's exactly sort of, you know, what we've been talking about is there are definitely people who were, you know, may very well remember this incident, especially since it made international headlines, or who maybe were impacted in other ways, and just even getting the word out and saying, hey, if you know anything, let us know.
Maddie, my calculations say we've been looking for about 75 hours.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for calculating too.
Sure.
So Suna, that means by the end of this watch, we'll have broken the record for longest ever dive on the Nautilus. Is that true?
What was the longest dive?
I think the longest dive right now is Ocean Networks Canada, Herc and Argus combo, 74 hours.
Oh, really? Then we already... Oh.
So
yeah.
we're at 71 right now?
No, we're 75, but I added the first dive too.
Right, so 71 total. Sorry, 71 this dive only.
75. Yeah. Oh, wait, what was it? I think it was about 8 hours, the first dive, wasn't it?
Maybe, but including launch and recovery. So we launched at, what was it, 10:30?
Also, launches and recoveries are in this time. So.
Yeah, so 10 p.m., so in an hour 15, or 10:30 p.m. In an hour and 15, we'll be at 72 hours.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Cool.
And that'll be, well, I think our longest dive is 74 or 5. Yeah, okay. And that was up in British Columbia, right?
That's right.
Yep. So we'll be breaking some records. Although it is an Argus-only dive, so jury's out whether or not that's...
It counts. It's definitely the longest Argus dive.
All right. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Just don't tell Herc.
Fine.
We
You'd be
know that
heartbroken.
Trevor likes records.
Do I?
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
Some say I like
Don't
records
you?
the most. Some say I have the record for liking records.
You have a Guinness record.
What's your Guinness record?
Oh, I don't have a Guinness record. Officially do not have a Guinness
You
record.
still have a Guinness record.
Unofficially.
You like records.
Nobody's going to ask what
I
that
know.
unofficial Guinness record is.
I'm mouthing like, is this appropriate? Okay. What's your Guinness record?
I don't have a Guinness record, and that's
What,
key.
what did you try to...
I've broken a Guinness record, but it was unofficial, so I do not have the Guinness record.
Okay, so what are you going to tell us?
Damn it.
You're real coy.
Oh, no. Number of times kicking yourself in the head in a minute.
I
Yeah.
was really eating hot dogs or something.
No, it's way less professional than that.
I just love this
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trevor.
That's okay, Suna.
These are not laying down kicks to the forehead.
These are-
full standing kicks to the forehead.
Full standing kicks to the forehead. Yeah. Yeah.
Dee Dee, was that the story you were hoping for?
Oh, yeah, that was more.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well,
Okay. Since
How
we're
many
into
times
this-
was that, by the way?
All right. I'll tell the whole story since we're into it.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
need this from the
So,
beginning.
Christmas morning, get one of those little Guinness World Book of World Record books, you know, whatever, reading through it, checking out all the cool stuff. And I come upon a page that says the world record for the most number of kicks to the head in 1 minute was, I can't even remember the number, 32, 35 or something.
Oh, no.
And I read that, I'm like, well, I can beat that, obviously. Like,
You're
what?
having trouble with your memory now?
Yeah, does this,
Go
this
go
explains
figure.
a lot, Trevor.
So I can beat that. So I sat down right then and there and got 47.
Sat down.
Well,
Stand. Okay.
I tried it a couple times, and
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times, but my best was 47 kicks to the
Wow.
head in
And
1
this
minute.
was last year?
Nope,
No.
it was not. I was much younger. I was in my early teens, probably. Early teens, yeah.
Right.
Did you have a witness?
My whole family, yeah.
Wow,
Oh,
that's a
whoa.
lot of witnesses.
Oh, they could vouch for it. But now, since then, the record has been broken by somebody else, and it's well out of my reach.
Wow.
It's now 134.
Oh,
So do you
geez.
keep tabs on this? Like, do you have like a Google alert set up
Well,
to get news?
The last time this was brought up on SP, someone looked up the current world record, and it's about it's 134, I believe, 130 something.
That's
Okay.
more than 2 kicks per second.
It's incredible.
And
What a
after the
feat.
watch, we all tried
What
to
a
kick our
feat.
heads.
What a feat. I feel like you'd have
That
to be
didn't- I
using
feel like
both
that,
feet.
that joke didn't get enough credit.
Yep.
What a feat. Come on,
That's
guys.
like in.
What a feat. Yeah. Wow.
That's a like hip flexor strength and a hamstring.
Not hamstring,
mobil-
key. My hamstring, I can barely touch my toes.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I can kick them,
But-
kick my face.
But back in the day,
No, even then.
Oh.
It wasn't a straight up kick. It wasn't like a, it was like a up through the center. Imagine cross-legged, but
Oh,
going
okay.
further.
so you don't actually have to kick your head.
Well, my foot is contacting my head with force. So foot force hit is kick.
So this is a physics lesson, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically soccer juggling.
Right. Yeah.
I
But
could-
with
okay,
your
that
head.
makes sense. Now I can see somebody actually getting 2 kicks in a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Both feet.
Well,
Oh, both feet. You know, I did try that once. It didn't work very well. It got all tangly in the middle. But it might be a good strategy. It might just require more training, and that's not my thing.
well, you learn something new every day.
Yeah, you sure do.
And it all explains a lot.
Yep.
What were we talking about?
Does anyone else have any records?
Yikes.
Okay, so for reference though, the person who has 134 kicks to the head, I think is like bending over.
Yeah, you bend
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
That's part
yeah.
of the strategy.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So you're not like directly standing up. I was
No,
thinking.
no, I'm not like in chiropractic traction. Like, no, like you make the head meet the foot as well as the foot meet the head.
This is a great time to talk about cephalopods, actually.
Speaking of ears off in the head.
Speaking of
Good
head feet.
segue, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about
head,
cephalopods.
pod, foot. They also are
Foot head.
foot headers. That's all I got. I tried to bring it back.
You sure did. Relevant and on
You
topic.
started very good.
Oh, we got something. Oh, there it goes. Tried to focus.
You did great.
Yes.
Speaking of records, what's our sea cucumber count?
162 intact sea cucumbers.
Excellent.
12 hours ago, it was 161.
Okay, so the count's not really getting updated.
Well, I don't know.
I
We
think
were
Miles gave up on that.
This watch was very active in this, and we have, personally, this watch probably has over 100 of those.
And
So-
why did you stop?
We haven't stopped. Who said we stopped?
Miles stopped logging.
No, the other watches saw 0.
And my arm
we're
got
still logging.
tired.
All right, here's a good question, especially for you veteran Nautilusers. Nautilisians? Either?
Not a lie.
Not a lie?
Not a lot.
Not a
Not a
lot?
lot.
I like that one.
Seems appropriate.
Yeah. How do you keep from getting bored on watch? You talk about...
You can rewind about 10 minutes and, and learn firsthand.
Yikes.
Oh, well, we have a sea cucumber account.
I think it's diversity of conversation. So alternating between science conversation, learning more about what we're looking at or the history behind what we're searching for, and then interspersed with personal stories, some jokes,
Records, personal records.
personal records. Fantastic questions from viewers.
Definitely questions from viewers.
Trying out new things on old systems. Yep.
Oh, what do you-
We got George to give us a hand in trying something new with DP.
Yeah. Brand new, never been before
Can
been
you
tried.
explain a little more for all those words you use? So George is our officer up on the bridge currently,
Correct.
and
We're using a system called DP, dynamic positioning, to drive a fairly straight line. And I've been noticing that there's a box on there that says offset, cross-track offset. And so I had a theory that we could just sort of shift the line over a little bit without re-entering a whole new line and jazz. So we tried it. It's a semi-success. We did move over the line, but it didn't move Argus over with it for some reason.
this improves what exactly? Just saves a step?
It's very important, Sam.
Okay.
Could it be a bit early for Argus to move, or?
No, I mean, we've gone the length of our layback since the last move.
Right.
So this new process that semi-worked would, how would it improve your life up in the control van?
So the goal here was to get Argus to track down our side scan line instead of being slightly offset like it was.
Got it.
So we don't, it
more
doesn't
efficient.
really matter where the ship is. We want to put Argus on the line. So I was trying to move the ship to move Argus over to the line.
Okay, in a more efficient way than.
Then stopping the ship and
Got
sort
it.
of starting all over from scratch.
Okay, thank you for giving the punchline.
Last time I tell you anything.
No, that was not sarcasm. That was thank you for getting to the punchline. Oh, sea cucumber.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, I could have zoomed. Sorry. Jeez. One job.
I think it's harder when they're so close to the camera.
Thanks, Una.
That was a big rock of something, huh?
Yeah.
On the right-hand side. Starboard side.
Did I miss another zoom?
Nope,
Okay.
you're good.
You guys gotta focus. Hey.
Good one.
Thanks. I'll be here till 11. Oh,
Shrimp.
Zoom.
Zoom, zoom, zoom,
Zoom,
zoom,
zoom,
Oh,
zoom.
there.
Oh.
Oh, hi. Forward. Or as Rennie pointed out, full Neptune, as we've got a little bit of, what's this called on the side? Bottom left. You know, it makes it almost look like a planet.
Vignetting.
Vignetting, thank you. Yep.
Shroud.
Sure.
Bump.
It's interesting because the sonar looks like it's really rocky, kind of, but directly below us it's muddy. Is that what we're seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
I mean, some of this too, as folks have been saying, are artifacts from the heave. So there's the
Oh,
heave
sure.
not being taken out, but is interesting. What's just out of sight of the one narrow field of view that we have with the Argus cam.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that people talk a lot about when they compare, you know, ROV work to human occupied vehicle work. In that often with ROVs you're limited by your field of view. You can't really turn your head as quickly
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
But then also with
Time is,
human occupied vehicles,
Yeah.
yeah, you've got less time on the bottom,
Yeah.
and you've got tiny, tiny windows to look out of.
yeah. What's
So
the
always trade-off.
deepest an HOV has gone before?
Down to the deepest point of the ocean, Marianas Trench. So
Oh.
there's been 3 people who have gone down there.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 were in the Trieste sub, and that was Don Walsh and Jacques
Cousteau?
Picard. Picard, a different one. Jacques Picard. And then James Cameron, just a couple years ago in the Deep Sea Challenger, went down to the very deepest point, came back up. So yeah, more
Cool.
people have walked on the moon than have been to the deepest point of the ocean, over 10,000 meters deep.
Wow. Isn't that wild when we think of how much more time we've spent in space than our own ocean? I still can't get over it.
Yep.
Did you say only 3 people went to the Mariana Trench?
Well, I said that, and then I feel like I'm missing someone.
Wait, there was two in Trieste.
Yeah,
Right? And then Cameron.
And James Cameron. That's what I thought. I think it's just 3. Yeah.
Mine was just a question. I didn't know.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Well, I was thinking the bathyscaphe, but that was not not the bathyscaphe, but the what was it called with William Beebe. But that didn't go to the deepest point. I think it was just one of the first
Attempts. I don't know that story.
attempts. William Beebe and the bathyscaphe. Maddie's on it.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Diving deep.
William Beebe? How do you spell his last name?
B-E-E-B-E. One of the National Geographic deep ocean drop cams that we have on board that will be that we typically drop when we are doing long mapping transits is named Beebe after William Beebe.
Oh, one of those things?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so they did go down to the Marianas Trench. Okay, so 5 people then. If William Beebe and Otis Barton went down in the 1930s.
Wow.
1930s.
Isn't that incredible?
That
That's
is,
wild.
I had no idea.
If you really want to dive deep into deep diving humans, check out Alexander the Great's underwater breathing apparatus. And they're basically making barrels with hookahs to the surface.
What?
Yeah, that's how they used to do it, right?
Yep.
Especially the sponge divers.
Yeah, so pretty incredible
How
history.
deep were they able to go in this?
Surprisingly so. I feel like that link has been clicked a lot. Yep.
A bathysphere.
Yep. And the
What?
images are fantastic of
Wait, isn't any pressurized ball a bathysphere?
I mean,
Like the
Like,
Alvin sphere
linguistically,
is a
yes.
bathysphere.
yeah,
Okay.
Batha and Sphere.
But this one was in 500 BC. Is that correct?
Wow. Yep.
What?
500 BC.
That is nuts.
Looks like they went. Yeah. So the images of the diving bells are pretty remarkable.
Did anybody do that in a pool growing up?
What?
Go in a
what?
bathysphere?
No, you like you have a friend stand on a 5-gallon bucket, and then you can go get in the 5-gallon bucket.
Oh, you mean like they hold
Like
it
a
on their
diving bell.
feet?
Yeah, they
You can
stand
go-
on it, and then
yeah.
you go down and you.
No,
Sort of.
is the answer. I
No,
didn't do that.
no,